Welcome back to another edition of the Good Eye Podcast. My name's Jay Smack. Today, my guest is Andrea Starr of the Forward Foundation. And the Forward Foundation works with single mothers who have encountered a life-altering event and are now in crisis. That life-altering event can be anything from illness to divorce to death in the family. And Andrea talks about how the organization tries to help these mothers move forward, provide for their families, find them resources for daycare, et cetera, et cetera. So I encourage you to listen to the conversation, and perhaps if you'd like to help, we will provide some contact info on the other side of this conversation with Andrea Starr of the Forward Foundation on today's Good Eye Podcast. And I am talking to Andrea Starr of the Forward Foundation, and I am talking to her virtually as a result of some unforeseen circumstances. This is just fine with me, and you're loud and clear, Andrea, but I appreciate you working this out, given the recent developments of the coronavirus and everybody doing the responsible social distancing and all of that. But welcome to the Good Eye Podcast, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Jay. I'm thrilled to be able to join you and very happy that we were able to make this happen considering the circumstances. So we will do what we need to do.
That's right. That's right. I think everybody's living by that mantra these days. But yeah, why don't we talk a little bit? My most recent experience we'll talk about is with the fundraiser that we had, the casino night. And that was a lot of fun. My wife and I were talking about it the other day, and it seemed to be really beneficial for the Forward Foundation. So just first of all, congratulations on a great event.
Thank you so much. It was amazing. It was far exceeded any of my expectations. The turnout was wonderful. We had so much incredible support, and it was just a wonderful way to get the community together, to get our clients together, our donors, our board, and really be able to celebrate this 10th anniversary of this organization and the evolution of where it started to where it is today.
Well, everybody was so super supportive, and there were some great silent auction items, silent and otherwise. And, you know, your MC was just amazing. So congratulations on that. And I'm glad I could make it.
Thank you. I'm so happy you were able to come, and thank you for being there to support us.
Well, let's talk about the cause and the greater mission of the Forward Foundation. That's the most important thing, obviously. And maybe go through that with us. The Forward Foundation is in a period of evolution, and a lot of people might be familiar with the mission, but not with the name, the Forward Foundation. So just briefly explain exactly what it is you guys do and what your mission is.
Sure. So this organization originally started in 2010 under the name of the Sophie House. And it was started by Kimberly Tillman, who was the original founder, who was going through a life-altering event and traveled across country with her kids to be closer to her family. She was very fortunate in the sense that she had incredible support and wanted to be able to start an organization that would offer support and services and resources to women that were going through similar circumstances. And through this period of time, there have been obviously a lot of changes, and wanting to be able to still continue to help the same community of women, which are single mothers, who, again, are going through a crisis situation. And it can, that varies based upon the individual, but typically it is either there has been an illness, there has been a death, there has been a divorce, something that has taken this mom from, where she woke up at point A and is going to sleep at point B and trying to figure out how I'm going to make this work. And for many women in these types of situations, there is a sense of feeling ashamed, feeling very alone, and feeling that you don't know what you're going to do to be able to take care of your family during this period of time. So understanding that and understanding how large of a community of women there are that find themselves in this predicament, it was really crucial for us to take this organization to the next level. And that was, how do we continue to help these women, but do it in a more impactful way? And that decision was made to be able to offer these women financial assistance for childcare. Our mission is empowering action to move forward. And again, these are women who are in a period of struggle, and what is at the forefront of their mind is, how am I going to be able to take care of my children? So we want them to be able to work, and in order for them to be able to work, they have to be able to have access to quality and reputable childcare. And the cost of childcare is so astronomically high that what ends up happening is that many of these women either can't work because they're not making enough money to pay for the childcare, or they are working, but what ends up happening is that everything that they are making is going towards their childcare costs and keeping a roof over their head. And that is why what we are doing is so incredibly important. And there really is not any other organization in the state or even in the country that is offering these type of services to these women. So it's really, really important that we're able to do this for them.
Well, that was going to be my next question. The mission and the epiphany that she had, or the desire to help and start this organization, it seems like there would be these types of resources everywhere, not all over the place, but at least at one per state, because unfortunately this is, so common. And you mentioned that women often feel ashamed when they're in this position. That's a thing that a lot of people, if they're not a single mother, probably can't relate to or don't understand. But that the mothering instinct is so powerful. All they want to do is be able to provide for them and their family, especially coming out of a crisis situation. I was just shocked to as I looked around to kind of realize that there aren't organizations like this. Are there plans to, or is it currently, I'm not sure, to take it national?
Well, that is our plan, and obviously we have to do it in a manner, our growth has to be in a manner that our organization is going to be able to remain sustainable. That's first and foremost. And because the community of women, the statistics are that there are 15 million single mothers in the country that are raising 22 million youth. And that's a huge number. And that number is growing every single day. And, many times, sometimes those numbers aren't even reported. So that's a guesstimate, so to speak. When you look at that and you look at what services are actually offered to these moms, typically people are going to think, the stigma is attached to the single mom that is just leaning on government assistance and kind of skating by on whatever they can to get by. It couldn't be farther from the truth. You have so many women that, and many of our clients that have master's degrees that are currently working multiple jobs. And because the cost of childcare is about 30% of your income, it doesn't leave a whole lot left. And that's a struggle for a two-parent family. Imagine what it is for a single-parent family. And you would think that there would be more resources available to these moms. But what ends up happening is they don't qualify for assistance because they're making too much money. So they are in this hamster wheel of, I am working as much as I possibly can, doing everything I can to work to provide shelter for my children, but I still have to provide food. I still have to pay utilities. My children still have activities. My car may need a repair or even a car payment. And when you are looking at about $36,000 to cover childcare full time for an infant or a toddler, that's for one child. That's not even for a family that has multiple children in childcare. That's a big number, and I don't think that really resonates with people unless they've been affected by this type of situation. You really aren't maybe paying attention to that. And how do we help these women so that they can continue to work and provide for their families in a manner that is going to be feasible for them to still work and take care of everything that they need to do to keep their family afloat? Because these women have been working because they really, if prior to whatever has happened into their life that has caused them to be in a crisis situation, they maybe were never in need of having to look for things like this. And they're feeling like there's always somebody who has it worse than I do. I shouldn't reach out for help. Couldn't be further from the truth. We want to be able to help them to get them back to that solid foundation. And then the goal is that they see not only the inner strength that they have had and overcome, but they can turn around and help support other women that are going through similar circumstances. So this is not only about helping our clients through a crisis period, but this is about empowering them with strength that they don't realize that they have, with resources that we want to make available to them that are going to help them get through this period of challenge in their life, and then being able to assist others that are going through the same thing. And it really just comes full circle.
Before we get into other resources that you make available to single moms, such as workshops and education services, I'm curious if there are other organizations that you work with or refer women to, for example, to get them out of a situation that may be unhealthy for them or their children, because oftentimes they're afraid they have nowhere to turn, and then
Right.
couple that with the stigma and the lack of resources. Are there other organizations that you guys either have on your radar to collaborate with or work with to, I guess, almost be preemptive to help women out of a situation so that they can, be empowered?
So that's a really great question, Jay, because we can't do what we do without being able to collaborate with others. And there's so many incredible organizations offering so many different types of services. And, that's really our goal too, is being able to work together. And the more we can work together, we can provide help to one another, obviously, the more women that we're able to reach. So with that being said, the YWCA is another organization that we try to, they have social workers, and the social workers will contact us and say, we have a client that is in need. If it's somebody that falls within the realms of the services that we offer, we can help them. And if not, then obviously we want to try to refer them to somebody else. So another organization is Safe Harbor. They reach out, their social workers reach out as well. And Hanover Safe Place is another organization. These and YWCA, Safe Harbor, and Hanover Safe Place are really the majority of their women, not all of them, but the majority of them are coming from a domestic violence, or sexual violence history background. So we aren't obviously the experts to deal with that. They are. But as their clients are coming through their program and are in need, if they are coming out of a shelter and they have gained employment, I pretty much at least 3 times a week will get a call from one of these counselors. I got another call from somebody with I can't think of the name of the organization, but it's a program within St. Mary's Hospital. Again, another social worker that's working with clients that are in predicaments where they are looking for resources to be able to kind of carry their clients on to the next level. And those are who we're connecting with. And many times they're either somebody that we can help, or we can work together to find a way that we can either put them in touch with somebody to help them hopefully find a job, or put them in touch with an organization that might be able to help them with securing housing. We have a list of local food pantries that we can direct them to. And then obviously there are other nonprofits that may be available to help them if they are moving into a new apartment and they need things for the apartment, that there are things that, resources that we can provide them so that they can contact these people to get the things that they need. And we have such an incredible community here in RVA where if we put the word out there and say, we are in need of this, typically somebody will step up and say, we can help you with that. So that's where it's so important that we are all working together and sharing not only the resources that we have, but sharing the knowledge that we have to help one another, to help these women get themselves into a safe environment or a more stable environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine the biggest obstacle is just not knowing that programs or resources exist, that, the mothers and the women involved in these programs just don't know they have a place to turn.
They don't. And that's the biggest challenge right now is, like I said, many of these women have never, prior to whatever has happened into their life, they have not been in need of looking for these type of services. So you don't know what's there. And it's so important that we are able to really share this information and spread this awareness so that women do know. You don't have to be homeless and on the streets. I mean, these are your neighbors. These are your family members. These are your coworkers. That something has happened that has put them in a predicament where they are truly struggling to make ends meet. And there are resources out there that can help them get through. And that's where we fall into place. And that's where we are wanting people to know about what it is we're doing and sharing that information and keeping your eyes and ears open so that if there is somebody who is in need, they know how to get in contact with us. And if it's something that we can't help them with, then hopefully we can refer them to somebody else who can.
And speaking of scenarios about getting the word out, some people are taking this coronavirus pandemic a little bit more serious than others. And I think what some people miss if they say it's just a cold is the stress that it puts on the system, hospitals being overrun. And of course, the people at risk, such as single mothers who can't afford to miss a paycheck. Are you seeing some immediate effects already from this pandemic on the single mother working community? Or have they been reaching out to you?
So just within the last week alone, I've received 4 phone calls. And what has happened to a lot of these women is because they are struggling so much financially, they are not covered with healthcare. They aren't covered, their kids aren't covered. And what are they going to do? So it's about who can I direct them to that is an expert in this field that knows about coverage and can either guide them with some information or direct them to a place that can. So yes, and in answer to your question, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be a lot more to come. And we've got to figure out what we're going to be able to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And along those lines, we mentioned some of the other resources. Of course, childcare is the biggest one because it's immediate. It's immediate, and we haven't even to take into consideration quality childcare. It's just being, having somewhere for your kids to be looked after that you trust, let alone the different levels of how good that childcare actually is. What about other things like workshops, or I know education services are mentioned on the website? What are some other things that you offer as resources to working moms in need of assistance?
So the way that our program works is, first and foremost, our clients have to be employed in order to be eligible for our services. And we feel very strongly that in order for this program to succeed, our clients need to be as vested into their future as we are vested into them. So we look at this program as a hand up and not a hand out. And what that means is that if this program is something that is going to be a good fit for us to be able to help this family, and for the mother to be looking at this as this would be very beneficial for me, not just in the childcare aspect, but in the other services that we offer. And that, with that being said, the way that this works is if they agree to come on as a client and they are receiving financial assistance for their childcare, and this is a subsidy, this is not 100% coverage. But the goal is that we are providing them with enough coverage that it gives them a little bit of breathing room financially, that they are then able to either be putting money away or being able to pay down other bills that maybe they've fallen behind in. But in exchange for that, they are required to complete a certain number of educational workshops that we provide options to them over the period of the time of the program, which can range from 12 months to 16 months. And we are also requiring that they complete volunteer hours every month as well. And the reason that we're doing that, again, is that this is a handout. This is a hand up, not a handout. And that everybody needs to understand that you have to have skin in the game to really understand what is involved in your future success. And we want our clients to recognize that. We want them to understand the importance of giving back, and we want them to use that to empower themselves to see that inner strength that they maybe aren't feeling at that moment, but they will be by the time they're coming through on the other end. And so the educational workshops that we offer vary as far as topics. And we're really, this is something that we are working very diligently on to make it as well-rounded and offer as many options as we can that are going to be useful to providing, again, a stronger financial foundation for them and their families, but also offering some other things that will be able to help them. So, for example, we are working with Sona Bank, who will be customizing a financial education program to us. And again, we'll kind of revert back to this challenging time that we, as an entire universe, is struggling right now with, which is the coronavirus. So where we can't meet in person, we're now working on providing these workshops virtually so that we will have a virtual library that will be available to them, that they will still be able to access. Now, this is all having to, be redone, or I should say changed entirely to be able to make this happen. This took us all a little off guard, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to figure out the best way we can make this work. And from right now, I think this is what we're going to need to do. But the goal is that, obviously, that these are workshops that you would attend in person. But right now, we're working on making these virtual. So we will have Sona Bank doing a customized program for our clients that will all be in, relative to financial education. And when I say that, I'm talking about things like how to do a budget, how to understand starting a savings account, balancing your bills. These basic things, which, some people would look at and say, well, what do you mean, they should know how to do that? Well, many times if their husband has been the one that has been handling that, or somebody else, and they are no longer in the picture and they're having to figure this out now along with everything else, they need some guidance, and we need to make sure that we have those resources available to them. Things like doing your taxes. We'll have a tax advisor that will be offering just basic information on how to file your taxes. Many women don't know how to do this, or have never had to do it on their own before. We have some financial advisors that are stepping up that have offered to help us by putting together programs that will explain just basic understanding of retirement accounts, having a 401k, the importance of being able to save for your child's education, or, child's future if there's even a medical emergency. These are the types of things that we are trying to make readily available to them for their financial education. We also have another program called Second Saturday Workshops, and these are centered around women that are going through a divorce. And these are programs that are led by professionals from the legal field, the financial field, and family counseling. And these take place for a 3-hour period once a month on a Saturday. And there are charges, there are fees that are affiliated with those programs, but we cover those fees for them. We are also working with establishing something with the Junior League of Richmond, where they want to put together a wellness component, which I think that is also very important. If the mamas aren't taking care of themselves, they certainly can't take care of their kids. So we want to make sure that we have something that is offered to them, whether it be yoga or whether it be, I'm drawing a blank now. But
how about mindfulness or meditation?
Yes, meditation.
A lot of that is so preemptive. You got to set
Right.
yourself up for success.
Absolutely. So that was the word I was looking for, was the mindfulness. And you when you are in that type of mindset with just trying to keep your head above water, the last thing you're thinking about is, what do I need to do to take care of myself? Because you're on autopilot on what you're going to need to do to take care of your family. And we want to make sure that they don't lose track of that. Some of the other things that we are putting in place as well is I always ask for feedback from our clients as to what they need, what would be helpful to them. And one of the things that keeps coming back is a basic car maintenance class, to just be able to know how to check your oil and check your tires and make sure that, things are running properly, and the simple things, being able to teach them how to fix it themselves, because again, the funds are tight. So we want to be able to provide them with these resources. And everyone, I'm sure, is very familiar with Mark Smith at Midas of Richmond, but he has offered to take care of that for us. So we have a lot of different areas that we are trying to make sure that we are covering, as well as interviewing skills, grant availability. If you're looking to further your education, there's a workforce alliance through J. Sarge that we are working with. And then what was the other thing that I was going to tell you? Oh, resume writing. Resume writing and interviewing skills. That was another one that kept coming up, that we wanted to make sure that we offer that too. So again, this RVA community has been incredible, and so many people have stepped up and said, I would love to be able to help you. And so our goal is to be able to utilize everybody that has offered assistance and say, these are the things we're looking for, and what can you help us put together so that we can offer these these resources and these workshops to our clients. And that's what we're in the middle of doing right now.
Wow, that's really awesome. I'm curious. All that is super useful and absolutely necessary, and there's you can't live without it. But how about
Right.
some things just to give back to themselves, like relaxation or entertainment or something like that, which might sound frivolous, but it's really not. Just because they work so much. Towards making sure their family's okay and probably working 60, 70 hours a week. Anybody come up with, like some general entertainment or spa things or anything like that? I'm just curious.
So that is another, I love that you brought that up, because again, most people aren't even thinking about what can we do to give them something
For
to
themselves.
just allow for themselves, exactly, to decompress, to relax, and just to have a moment to just take care of and pamper themselves. So one of Junior League of Richmond has also talked about doing that too, and we are actually meeting with them the week of the 28th. We have a panel of about 20 of the women from Junior League that we are going to be able to present to, and that's part of what we're going to be talking about, because they have said, how can we help? And that would be a huge way that they would be able to provide assistance to these moms. And these moms, it's not even on their radar. These are things that that it would never cross their mind about even having anything like this available to them. So we absolutely want to be able to find ways that we can do something to help them. Now, I will say again, this amazing community, which I will bring up over and over again, over the holidays, we had Capital One Cafe, Dominion Energy, and Summit Information Solutions all stepped up and said, we would love to do something special for these moms. And they went out and got just, scented lotions and candles and, things that would just be something special for them to have, that they could, kind of fuzzy blankets. So again, I feel like this is something, if we put the word out there, and I like to say we put it out to the universe and say, this is something that we are really in need of. I'm really hoping that we will have some community partners that will step up and say, we would love to help with this, and maybe offer us some gift cards that we could present to our moms to go get a massage or go get a facial or go, do something that would allow them the opportunity to just have some me time and do something for themselves. And we're working on it slowly, but it hasn't happened yet. So maybe this will get some word out, and we'll see what comes back our way.
Yeah, and stuff like that goes a long way towards mental health, not only for them,
yeah.
but their children.
Absolutely.
And speaking of stuff like that, I imagine that would have to be some sort of a donation, because it's hard, quote unquote, to justify it on the books, on the bottom line. But what type of assistance do the mothers in the program often get? And I'm just curious if it's a, quote unquote, blank check to write to childcare, or whether it is also a product of relationships you have. How do they actually receive the assistance?
So the assistance for the childcare is actually, there is a whole client intake process that we go through. So once somebody is interested in the program, and we chat over the phone, and I kind of go over a brief synopsis of, the outline of how all of this works. If that is something that they are interested in pursuing, then I will send the application to them for them to look at, so that they understand completely before they're committing to coming on. So with that being said, they understand that the financial assistance, that financial component, comes in way of a certain amount that we allot per family, depending on their needs. So that when I say that, that means if there's one family that is only looking for after school child care versus another family that has two children that are infant and toddler age and they need a full day's worth of daycare, the cost is obviously very different. So we want to make sure that we are looking at each client individually and trying to help them as much as we can based upon their individual needs. So with that being said, we talk about where their child is already in care. Sometimes they are already in a facility and sometimes they are not. We have partnered with Bundle of Joy Daycare, which is a facility here in the Richmond area that has been around for 43 years. They were actually rated the top childcare provider for 2019 in the RVA community, and offers incredible services. So when we're talking about childcare providers, like you said, it's not necessarily, you're going to somebody's house and I'm not making a blanket statement that every daycare provider is like this, but there are some that, a child is just plopped in front of the TV until their parents come. And then there are some that actually have laid out programs. They have homework periods. They have a craft period. They have recreational period. We really want to make sure for our clients that we are able to offer them as much as we can for their kids. But again, it's based on the individual's needs. So depending on where their kids are and depending on, what the circumstances are, because we don't obviously want to just pluck them out of where they are and put them somewhere else, especially if they have been going through a trying time. So all of this has to be considered. But ultimately, we would like for the children to be in a licensed facility that it offers multiple resources to the children. We, again, will look at that on an individual basis. We then, when I say we, I mean the Forward Foundation, any subsidy that is being provided is between Forward Foundation and the child care facilitator.
Okay.
It does not cross hands with the family. So that's another reason why we need to know where the children are. Have there been any, issues with the facility or with the child? Many times if the child's going through a hard time, maybe it's not the best fit, or maybe we can recommend, making a change that also might be more cost effective for the family. That's why we need to hear that whole picture and why it's so important that, we are communicating everything with the client, how we work versus, exactly what it is their needs are. So I do like to make that very clear that the money does not go to the family. The money, we pay, the invoice is provided to us and we pay directly to the child care facility.
How about a situation that involves special needs children? Do you guys have resources to accommodate that?
We do. We have one of our child care facilities is a smaller facility and specifically takes children that need to be in a smaller, more intimate environment, and they may have some special needs that have to be met. With that being said, obviously, the more that we can connect with other organizations that are maybe offering similar circumstances that are in various places, maybe one's on the south side, maybe one is in Hanover, maybe one is in Henrico. Ideally, that's the best for us because then depending on where our clients either live or work, we have something that is going to be reasonably accessible to them, and we have options that we can provide. So we are currently working with how many different organizations? I guess we're currently working with 5 different child care facilities right now. And the goal is that grows, that as word spreads and people hear about what we're doing, that we're able to grow that collaborative partnership and offer even more options to more moms to make it more convenient for them, whether it's to their home or to their place of employment.
Yeah, and of course, all those factors point back to each other when you consider, someone on the south side not having resources on the south side and then having to drive to Hanover, and then you introduce the car maintenance you talked about, and then additional expenses of gas,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. It's exponential.
It is. And we've had a client that actually had that situation. I mean, her car was falling apart and her children's school was here on the West End, but she lived on the South Side. And, trying to figure out, she didn't want to move her kids to another program. She wanted her kids to be able to stay where they were. Um, so there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle to figure out to try to be able to make this work as best as we can for our families.
I don't want this to be a gotcha question or anything, but I'm curious as to how difficult, how much more the level of difficulty raises when it comes to helping people who may be here illegally. Is that something you've run up against? Because that's gotta happen quite a bit. Women find themselves in a situation.
No, right, and that's a great question too. But no, we have not run into that circumstance, and not sure, not sure how that would work. But we have not encountered that as of yet.
Man, I just can't even imagine, any mother in that situation, but being far from home and, needing resources like the ones you provide. How can people help? I know that you're always looking for volunteers and, of course, donors and sponsors. Let's get into that. How people can, first of all, personal help, how people can show up at your door and help somehow.
Well, there's so many different ways that people can assist. One of the things that our moms are always in need of are gift cards to grocery stores and gift cards for gas, to be able to put gas in the car. We've had a couple of moms that have said, it's down between, I have to make a decision of am I going to purchase diapers or am I going to purchase dog food? That's what it comes down to. So we are not in the position anymore where when we were at the Sophie House, we had a lot of storage room. There were places to house things. I don't have that. We don't have that capacity anymore. So it's doing large drives. At this point, when we did those at the holidays, and we can immediately get those out to the moms. But things that are, like a gift card, something like that we can quickly get to them or they can swing by and pick up are very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And, things like that we are always in need to be able to pass those out. But other ways that you can help out, first and foremost, is talking about it. And again, keeping your eyes and ears open and spreading awareness because there are moms all around you that are struggling through this that aren't talking about it. And you may hear something at work, you may hear something in an exercise class, you may hear it through your children's friends or, parents at a soccer game. That is huge, to just be able to keep your eyes and ears open and let people know that our organization exists and that to please reach out because we want to be able to help them as much as we possibly can and let them know that they are not alone. That's first and foremost. The other ways that you can assist is if your company is offering you a certain amount of service hours to help with something, or if you, which many companies are doing, which is wonderful that this has become so prevalent now. If your company does that, think of us or think of other organizations that are helping moms and kids and find ways that you can get involved because we all need help. Doing things like a drive with your Girl Scout troop or doing a drive through your book club where you might be able to collect, again, a gift card to get a massage, a gift card to the grocery store, a gift card to, whatever you can think of that would be something enjoyable for our moms and even their kids to just go get an ice cream, go to the movies, anything like that makes a huge difference to them. I had a woman who reached out a couple of weeks ago and said she had come across some coats, some really nice wool coats that were on sale. And she said, could any of your moms use these? They were so touched. I said, yes, they absolutely could. They were beautiful wool jackets, and I was able to pass them out. And, we didn't need a ton of them, but I was able to give each of our moms a new coat. Things over the holidays or prior to the holidays when it started getting cold, things like gloves, things like undergarments, diapers, wipes, socks, anything like that, even feminine products. These are things we take for granted that they desperately need, and they don't have the funds to be able to purchase them. So simple things, simple necessities like that we can offer to them and say, we have these. If you want to swing by and pick them up, it just, I can't tell you the impact it makes on them. So those are simple ways that people can get involved, that they can help. If your company has the ability to offer a workshop on something that would be beneficial to our families, and you're willing to tape something, or you want to, once we get through this craziness, want to be able to put a group together, we would love to be able to do something like that. It's really about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's a great idea. And like you said, it's the things you take for granted that you don't think of that are often the most useful. And an example I always think of is over at the McShin Foundation, who helps people in recovery, and they run recovery houses. When you say, what can I do? What do you need? They always say sheets and pillowcases. And it's something you wouldn't think of, but it's always the simplest things that make the biggest difference.
It's so true, Jay. Even things like basic toiletries, toothbrushes, toothpaste, we run out of things. We run to the store, we go and replace it. But when you think about how much some of these things cost, a tube of toothpaste is what? Anywhere between $4 and $6, depending on how much, what brand you buy. When you are down to your last $5 or $10, you can't afford those things. I had another mom. This is another great thing, that if there's anybody out there that would want to help, haircuts. She said, just to be able to get my son a haircut, every month, it's like, I need to get him a haircut, and then I'm down to my last couple of dollars, and I have to put it off for another month. He needs a haircut. So, if there are salons out there that are willing to just offer maybe once a month or once every 3 months even, to do some haircuts, things like that, or an oil change, just all of these things that we just take for granted, that if we need it, we just go and do it, and they can't.
I wonder if most people, the toothpaste also hits home, if most people know how much toothpaste costs, You just don't think about it. You just put it in your basket.
You don't. You don't. I think we all remember, if we had children, how much it cost when your kids were younger and you had them in diapers, how expensive diapers were.
Oh my God, yeah.
And if you have to provide diapers, which you do, to your childcare provider, in addition to what you're paying them to watch your children, and then you also have to bring snacks for your child, it adds up. It adds up very, very quickly. So these are just very simple requests that our families need all the time. And things like that would be incredibly helpful.
Wow. Andrea, this has really been fascinating and enlightening. And I urge people to go to forwardfoundationva.org for information. But where can people find information about donating and about sponsorship opportunities? Yeah, I know your corporate sponsors, and most of them are local. I don't know how corporate they are, but they're super important to you. Where can people find out information, and how can they get involved when it comes to donations and sponsorships?
It's incredibly important. We can't do what we do without it. So it's crucial that we have those. So on our webpage, we have donate buttons on every tab. So you can certainly do it through the webpage. You can also email me directly. My email is andrea@forwardfoundationva.org. If you have any questions, if you need EIN numbers or tax forms, I am happy to send that to you. And our Facebook, we have our Facebook page. You can also donate through that as well. I would say that it's easier to do it through the web page versus the Facebook page, but that certainly is an option. So the Facebook page is still, we are waiting for that to change over. It is still under the Sophie House, but when you click on the Sophie House, you will see Forward Foundation shows up on that page. So it's just a matter of Facebook switching that over for us. But those are all different places that people can go to get information, whether they want to volunteer, whether they want to donate, or whether they are interested or know of somebody that might be in need of our services.
And I would stress that the organization is named the Forward Foundation, not the Ford Foundation, which is what it sounds like when Jimmy Comer says it.
Yes, not the car. It's forward, like we are moving forward.
Right.
So, yes.
But Jimmy's okay with me. He's a Rush fan, so he's good in my book.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Andrea, this has been, like I said, really informative, really enlightening. The work you're doing is super important, and I thank you for making time and working out the ability to be here. We're meeting virtually, so we don't, contribute to the spreading of the coronavirus. But thank you so much for taking some time.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you so much for allowing us this platform to be able to share what it is that we're doing. I'm just very, very grateful. So thank you.
My thanks again to Andrea for taking some time to share the mission and the vision of the Forward Foundation. If you'd like to get involved and help, you can do that by starting at their website, forwardfoundationva.org. You can also email info@forwardfoundation.org. Also encourage you to listen, subscribe, share, leave a review, etc., etc. GoodEyePodcast.com is the website, on iTunes, on Spotify. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at goodeyepodcast@gmail.com or smackj@gmail.com. And thanks very much for listening. Until next time, look at life with a good eye. And thanks for listening to the Good Eye Podcast.